Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Wendy Fracchia, and I'm the operations manager for Murdock Escorted Tours. We are the escorted and guided tour division of Morris Columbus Travel, and we're excited that you're watching our presentation today, and we are very excited to be joined by Reid Robison. And Reid, thank you for taking the time to be with us and talk about this very fun, informative tour that we're doing together next spring. I would love if you would take a moment and introduce yourself to our watchers. And also, if you could you've been doing tours for years, I know. I would love to hear what you really enjoy about leading tours and taking people to new destinations as well.
Okay. Well, like Wendy said, my name is Reid Robison. I taught at BYU for the last 22 years, but during the first decade of that experience, I led alumni tours. And so I got a taste for leading tours at that time and just loved the experience of making new friends and introducing people to sites that I love, particularly France, my beloved country that I've adopted, and also church history sites. And so, as far as my background goes, my wife and I have 5 children. We have 18 grandchildren and 3 great grandchildren. We raised our family in Toronto, and we both earned our doctorates in education. So we love teaching and being with people as they discover new insights.
That That was so cool. I was just going to say, I love that one of the first things that you said is making friends, because that is what, I mean, travel is exciting. It's fun to see and learn about new destinations, but especially with group travel, don't you think that one of the biggest benefits that people come away with besides the experience of travel is the relationships that they build while they're on these trips?
I agree. Many of our people actually have reunions, and so
Oh,
they'll get together on the anniversary of the trip, or they'll have little dinner groups, or they'll even travel on future tours together. So it's really a fun thing to observe.
well, it is, and I think sharing destinations with people, I think what you're saying is it getting to share a destination that's so dear to your heart and getting people to see people get to experience it for the first time is almost like you getting to experience it again for the first time.
That's right. Seeing it
Well,
through
and
their eyes.
exactly. So it's a double benefit, right?
Right.
Well, and I love that you raised your family in Toronto as well, because we've got another trip that you're going to be doing where you're going to be visiting Canada with us this fall on a cruise, but that's a whole different presentation.
That's right. That's
So
this fall.
yeah, exactly. Well, and you know what's really fun, and I'll just do this little introduction, then we'll jump right into the tour. You came to me a few months ago, and you had this idea for this tour. It's something you've experienced before, but you knew it could be done better. And that was something that we've been able to craft is a tour that you've seen it done one way, but you just knew it could be done a better way. And I think one of the things with MME tours, we really love to focus on value and experience. And I think that that is the perfect experience that we've built with this, with your experience of this itinerary and what we offer to the traveler. So,
Well, I appreciate your having supported me in designing that type of experience, because I think when I did this type of tour before, and I've done it several times, to me it felt rushed, and it felt like we were missing the most important part of discovering these countries, and that is experiencing the culture. And so I hope in this presentation you'll kind of get a feel for what this tour has to offer.
well, I'm excited for you to walk us through it. So, I'm just going to have you go ahead and jump in and we can just go from there.
Okay, sounds great. The tour is called the Come and See Temple Tour. That's an expression that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints uses in inviting people to come to the temple to see refinements in the films that they use, or to see the open houses. And so we thought, since our focus are 3 Latter-day Saint temples in Europe, why not invite them to come and see 3 temples in Europe? And so that's what the focus is. This will be in early April.
Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead of you. I'm sorry.
That's no problem, but that's a perfect time to see Europe. Now, this slide right here is one of the most important slides, because to me, it focuses on what you get out of this tour versus the way it's been in the past. First of all, you get to experience it at a more leisurely pace rather than be rushed. Rather than get up at 6 or 7 in the morning and rush all day, have only 1 or 2 days in a city, and not be able to experience the culinary dining or the strolling the streets of these major beautiful cities, we're able to do that on this tour. Morris Murdock has selected hotels that are in the center of where the action is. Safe spots, but very elegant, fun places to see that are close to restaurants and close to the sites that you'll want to spend more time at. We do have a focus on art appreciation. My wife has her master's in art history. It's something that is a personal interest of mine. Impressionistic art, particularly in France, and we'll be spending time not only in the Louvre but in the Musée d'Orsay. The other thing is that I don't know that in the past our people have come home saying, you know, I really loved this type of food about England or about France or about.
But they will on this one.
On this one, they will. In fact, who can go to Rome without coming back and talking about gelato? I mean, that's something that people want to do every couple hours.
Gelato and pizza. It's my 2 favorite things. You have them listed there.
Exactly. And for France, I just love crepes. I don't want anyone to ever say the word crepe. It's not a crepe, it's a crepe. And galette is the meal portion of, they're kind of like crepes, but it's the meal portion. Nice. England isn't really known for its own foods other than fish and chips, but you'll find the most delightful international cuisine in London, in the types of restaurants that they have there.
It just tastes better sometimes when you're in London.
Right.
My opinion.
So let's move to London.
Yeah, let's jump right into London. Okay, perfect. Should we just jump to the hotel?
That'd be great. The hotel that's been selected for us, with an emphasis on those parentheses there, wanting you to draw attention to the fact that it's in Hyde Park, which is a great place in church history. It's where President Hinckley, on the first day of his mission, stood on a box there, and so did Elder Ballard. The early saint missionaries, Heber C. Kimball, Brigham Young, they had that experience there. But we will be in the center of London there and near Hyde Park, and have a great experience there in an authentic British hotel.
I love that. I love that stories.
So we will start our tour at Westminster Abbey. This is a very well-known spot because that's where kings are crowned. You'll remember just recently with the crowning of King Charles, it took place in Westminster Abbey, and there's great stories and sights to be seen in that historic venue there.
Absolutely beautiful.
As we travel around London, we will see on this next slide things like Big Ben, or the Houses of Parliament, Buckingham Palace. You can see one of our tour groups there out in front of the palace. The king is moving out of the palace for renovations for the next 3 years, but nevertheless, we never were able to go in it anyway, so we can have a photo op just like the one that you see there.
Wonderful.
This thing I was mentioning about Hyde Park, this next slide shows Speaker's Corner. It was actually launched for people of all persuasions to have the opportunity to voice their opinions in a peaceful way. And so it's been known as Hyde Park and still functions for speakers that way today.
That is fun.
We will also be able to see St. Paul's Cathedral. That's probably the most magnificent cathedral that's found in London, and is just a great way of seeing Christopher Wren's architecture. And you can actually, my wife and I last time climbed up to the little, you can see near the top of the dome there, a walkway around, and that's kind of a great sight over the city, but it's a really fun visit there.
That is a cool thing to do.
Now, the real focus, why people sign up for this tour, of course, is the London Temple. So we will be going on a couple-hour bus ride outside of London, and we will be able to set an appointment, go in, and have a London Temple experience there.
That's awesome.
So an enhancement that we've added to this trip is rather than leave the temple and get on a flight around 5, wait and not arrive at the hotel until
another airport
midnight.
Experience, right?
Yeah, we're going to take the Channel. That's an experience on its own, where you actually take the train under the English Channel, and 2 hours later, you're in downtown Paris. So this is a really fun way to go see Paris and introduce us to Paris. When we're at Paris, we'll be staying in the Novotel Hotel. Now, this one is on the left bank of the Seine River, just minutes from the Eiffel Tower and the Champs-Élysées. When we're in Paris, this is kind of where I come alive. Ernest Hemingway said, if you're lucky enough to have lived in Paris as a young man, then wherever you go for the rest of your life, it stays with you. For Paris is a movable feast. Now, for me, I was over there as a 19-year-old for 2 years, knocking on doors and making friends with the French people, and they've been like family to me ever since. In fact, I've been back to France every other year for the past 35 years. Sometimes I'll go 3 times in a year, but I just can't get enough of Paris or the sights in France.
That's exciting. I was going to say, also with the director who speaks the language, that is so beneficial.
That is really fun because
helpful to the group.
I love the pronunciation of the French language because it's a romantic language. It doesn't sound guttural. It just flows, and people like to listen to it. You'll find the French people, if you learn just 2 or 3 words and start out with those words, they're very nice people and they'll treat you well. But a typical American tourist sometimes thinks that everyone should speak English. So when they don't understand, they just speak louder. And that is kind of offensive. So if you want to endear the French people, learn a few words like bonjour, merci, and je t'aime, and you'll be just fine.
That is such good advice. Again, an experienced tour director can help you have a wonderful experience in France.
It will be. Now, we are going to start out at the place where treaties are signed. This is the Palace of Versailles, which is, interestingly enough, a stone's throw away from the temple. But if you'll look very carefully at the windows on the side of the Chateau de Versailles, you'll see a unique style of architecture that inspired the architect for the temple that we'll be visiting after the Palace of Versailles. This next slide kind of shows you an example of those windows. This is a temple where we were not permitted to have a tower or put up a statue of the angel Moroni, but you'll find right behind the temple we have a garden with a statue of the Christus, which is just breathtaking, and it's a tourist attraction for people to come in there and feel the peace of that sacred place. But again, like in London, we have the chance to make an appointment and go in and have a temple experience.
I was going to say I've always heard how interesting it is to go to Versailles itself, and then, like you said, a stone's throw away from the temple. Two very different experiences, yet they mirror each other in their grandeur, maybe, if that's how you want to put it.
Yeah, and one of them is just laced in gold and the things of the world, and the other is just this hallowed sacred site that you can just revel in the atmosphere. Tom Holdman of Thanksgiving Point is
Yeah.
the one who did the stained glass, and he said to me one time that to get the inspiration for the design of the stained glass in this temple, he went out to Monet's garden in Giverny, and he laid down in the grass and just looked up at the greenery there and the beautiful surroundings, and that's where he got his inspiration on how to create the vines and the greenery that's in this stained glass. It's just a beautiful thing to see.
I love his inspiration.
Now, after our day at Versailles and the Paris Temple, then we will see the icon of Paris. This Eiffel Tower, which was first rejected by the French people, they thought it was kind of an eyesore, has become the beloved symbol representing Paris worldwide.
Iconic,
so
yeah.
We'll be able to have an experience at the Eiffel Tower there, and you can see this is a group we took this past year to that site. Then I had mentioned to you my love of impressionistic paintings. When I was a young man, I would visit what was called the Jeu de Paume, which was the building that housed the impressionistic paintings. Then after I came home, years later, the French people took over a train station, converted it to an art gallery, and moved all the paintings, these impressionistic paintings, from the Jeu de Paume into the Musée d'Orsay. And we will have a wonderful experience in the Musée d'Orsay, gaining a great appreciation for the Impressionists.
Wow, that is a beautiful building. And you can absolutely tell it used to be a train station.
Yeah, you can. But no visit on looking at art to Paris is complete without visiting the Louvre. The Louvre is so big that they actually shut down one wing every day of the week. Again, the little pyramid out front was something the French people didn't like at first, but now they love it. It shows the old and the new. But the Louvre is a great place to go see the Mona Lisa. It's called the Joconde, to see the Winged Victory of Samothrace, which is the most expensive piece of art in the entire world. And it doesn't have a head, doesn't have arms, but it shows the genius of the creator of that piece of art. And it's called the Winged Victory of Samothrace, which is the Nike statue. But anyway, great stop there. You won't have enough time to become a master at it, but you'll have a leisurely time to see the things that you really want to see in that site.
Again, things that you just never really had the opportunity to do on the previous tour.
That's right. Now, no previous tour has seen this. This past weekend, Notre Dame Cathedral, Notre Dame, known for the Hunchback of Notre Dame and known for midnight mass on Christmas Eve. The Notre Dame, which burned down about 6 years ago, has been resurrected from the ashes. It was relaunched this past weekend. Dignitaries from around the world were there, and you'll find in going inside it, and that's why I'm so excited to get back and see the inside, it's now white.
Oh,
it's just a
wow.
brilliant white that reminds me of celestial glory. So it's going to be a great stop to go inside of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris on the left bank of the Seine
So
River.
excited to get people back there.
Yeah. Okay. Another stop that we'll see is called Montmartre. Now, Montmartre is a cathedral overlooking Paris. Paris is quite flat except for where Montmartre is. And this has been a site that has not been part of the tour in these previous tours because they were too rushed. But if you go up to Montmartre and listen to the organ and feel the majesty of that building, then you can walk around behind it and there's an artist market, which is it gives you a feel for what life might have been like with the Impressionist painting back in the day. But great stop to be able to go see Montmartre. Now, this next site is the most famous street of all of France, one of the most famous streets in the world. It's called the Champs-Élysées. There's a song that I won't sing to you right now, but it's called "Oh Champs-Élysées."
I was going to say it's going through my
one.
mind, but I won't sing it either. I couldn't pronounce it.
But anyway, at the end of it is what's called the Star or the Étoile, and that's, you can see the Arc de Triomphe at the end of the boulevard there, and all the it's like looking at a wagon wheel. All these main streets in Paris focus in on the Arc de Triomphe there, and the main tip for surviving is just look to your right, yield to your right, don't even look left, and you'll be able to go in there, flow around it, and that's the most famous roundabout in the world. But it's a great street, magnificent. Right now they're having a Christmas market there, which we've been to a couple of times, and it's just outstanding, one of the best in the world.
Well, I think you also bring up another great point about group travel is that you can experience being in that roundabout, but you don't have any of the stress in trying to drive it.
That's right. Well, when I first was on it, I was on a motorbike as a missionary.
Oh, wow.
And they have these little things that look like Volkswagens, but they're called two horses, deux chevaux. And I remember one of them, as I was waiting my turn, so to speak, they're so light that it ran over my foot and I couldn't even feel it. Oh. But anyway, it's an experience to be able to go into that roundabout.
So cool.
So we leave my beloved Paris on a flight and we'll go over to Rome. Now,
and
that's another.
I was going to say, and the flight is necessary. It's kind of nice that you were able to do the train from London to Paris, but the time that it saves from Paris to Rome, all you have to do is get out a map and look at the distance on that. Even if we were to do that by train, I mean, it is such a long journey, and the flying just makes sense in this one.
Yeah, and one of the enhancements that we felt on the tour is rather than get on a cruise and spend 5 days of this precious time being on a cruise going to Rome, why not get over there in a couple of hours and spend the extra time and those days in Rome?
Exactly. Well, between Rome and Paris, that's what you're going for. You are absolutely going to make the best use of your time this way.
Yeah. Now, one thing you'll find about Rome is that even though I love France and love many things in France from a culinary perspective, you just can't beat the food in Italy. It's a culture on its own. They have a first course and a second course, and to get over to Italy and experience that culture is a reward on its own.
I was going to say, I'm kind of glad you don't have a picture of the food, because then it would just make us hungry.
Right. Okay, well, let's look first at the hotel here. That we're at the Star Hotel Metropole in the city center near the Opera House. It's 10 minutes from the Colosseum. It's a great place to be. So for free evening time, you can find wonderful restaurants. The hotel is very elegant, and it'll be a choice experience to be in that hotel as well.
I think one of the things that you specifically pointed out was how well located these hotels are. They are all in locations where, like you said, you can walk out in the evening safely, enjoy a meal. You're close enough to whether it be the Colosseum, to one of the piazzas in Rome, the Eiffel Tower, into in London. All the areas you can go out and do your own private sightseeing in addition to what the group is going to be doing. So that was why we picked the hotels that we did. We wanted the great value to be in not having to take a taxi or not having to do other transportation, but to experience the cities.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what I feel is one of the key enhancements that was made to this trip. In previous trips, we've stayed near the airport in Rome and also the airport out near Orly Airport in Paris. And you just miss so much of the culture experience being near the airport and not in the city.
100%.
That's a great addition.
Yeah, hit that one on the head. That was absolutely so.
So we first in Rome will visit the Rome Temple. Now this temple is it's right on the same square, if you will, as a magnificent visitor center with sculptures of the apostles and tremendous paintings and stained glass. And so you'll have time to look in that visitor center and appreciate the majesty of that building, but also go with an appointment, go into the Rome Temple and have a wonderful experience there as well.
Well, and you had mentioned the amazing artwork of Tom Holdman in his glass that he does for the temples. And honestly, the Rome Temple, it's all magical, but it is just so beautiful, the location and the way that the visitor center mirrors the temple and the way that they reflect together. It's just an amazing historic building.
It is. And in the visitor center, Tom Holdman has a great piece of work there as well.
They did a whole book about it. It's all the parables. It's amazing.
It is. So after you have the Rome Temple experience, then you see a country within a country, and that's the Vatican. It's a very small country, and of course, that's where the Pope lives. We're able to go in and see the Vatican, see the Sistine Chapel, and the famous sculptures that are in the Vatican, and that will be a great experience on its own.
Well, and one of the things that I will bring out about being in Rome in 2025 is that this is a Jubilee year. And if you are not familiar with what the Jubilee is, every 25 in the years in the Catholic religion, there is a Jubilee year. And each of these amazing cathedrals and basilicas that you will go to, you will see these very special Jubilee doors that if you've ever been there before, they've always been closed. They are huge and ornate. And they are only open every 25 years. And in 2025, this will be a year the Jubilee doors will be open. There's some significance to the Catholic religion about being able to walk through the Jubilee door and being part of, some of the celebration that goes along with that. And being able to witness that, we talked about the culture and about the, seeing the different countries, but I think also appreciating from a religious standpoint, the other religions. And that is obviously something that you will see quite a bit when you go into the different churches, whether it's, the Abbey in London or in Paris, or in the Vatican, is being able to see the different religions, their different churches, compare them to the temples. But I love to appreciate the other religious celebrations as well.
Well, and that's a hidden surprise to be able to go there during the Jubilee. So what a treat that is that we weren't even counting on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, after the Vatican, we will go visit the Trevi Fountain.
Oh, sorry, jumped too far.
And the Trevi Fountain is the place where people throw coins and make wishes. And it's not too far from what's called the Spanish Steps. And so the fun thing about Rome is it's walkable, a lot of steps.
Lots of
It is walkable. But there are people who are concerned about that. And so we also have an option that people can take what's called a golf cart tour. And on the golf cart tour, you cut out all the steps and are taken right to the front door of these places. And you have to pay probably $100 for the privilege of taking such a tour. And I'm sure you miss a lot of details, but it sure saves stress on the body if walking is a challenge.
And, at the end, I was going to ask you about what people should be thinking about with mobility. So I appreciate that you bring that out, because Rome is a difficult city for anybody with walking issues, but not just walking issues. Its stability as well is one thing that I like to share with people, that it is cobblestones, and you're up and down the street corners and things like that. So if there's any balance issues and you get off balance easy, that's a concern. I would say that typically a typical day in Rome, you can plan easily at least 15,000 steps, give or take.
Yeah, I was going to say even closer to 20.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a great point to raise.
And one of the things also about this being a Jubilee and how important a Jubilee year is to the Italians, right now, the Trevi Fountain is dry and it is being cleaned. So next year for the Jubilee year, it will be bright and white and pristine. And you'll see that with a lot of the buildings, the Parthenon, and some of the fountains in the different piazzas that you will go to. They're all being cleaned up and spruced up for the Jubilee. So this will be another treat for you.
No, that's all the more reason why we go in April 25.
This is the year. That's right.
Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned, the Colosseum, that's a stop that we'll be taking. And that is a fascinating stop on its own to review the history of that building. And there's across the street from the Colosseum, there's actually some ruins that are from that era, and we can walk through those as well. So it's a great stop that can't be missed. And
it's an iconic stop. Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, one thing that we had kind of as an optional thing with free time, but I hope people won't miss it. That's the Borghese Gallery with the Bernini sculptures. I have never seen a sculptor who is able to craft sculptures as lifelike as Bernini. I mean, you actually have to go up and touch it to make sure it's stone rather than real life flesh and bones. It's just amazing. And he's got this collection not far from where you rent the golf carts up there that is just fabulous. And I hope every person will take advantage of that offering to go visit that gallery.
And I love again that you mentioned that there are opportunities to do things like that. I think a lot of people have been to Rome at different times, and I think that all three of these cities, London, Paris, and Rome, are cities that you can visit multiple times and be very comfortable there, and you're never going to see everything.
Right.
And that's something that it's great to have the opportunities to have that little bit of free time to explore and or maybe just revisit something that is absolutely your favorite. I know there's several restaurants, because again, you mentioned food in Rome, that it's just a tradition for my husband and I to be able to go. So it's nice that there are some meals, and yet there's also opportunities for individuals to really choose their own. And I think that's one of the things with the budgeting is with this tour, we have given you so much more in the value of the hotel locations, the inclusions, the time in the cities, and yet it matches the price of the previous tour that did not have those things included.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
In fact, mentioning food, there is a restaurant that is, if you wanted to have one of those special dinners to remember the rest of your life, right outside this Borghese Gallery is a little restaurant in a chateau there overlooking all of Rome on the hill there. And to go make a reservation and have dinner in that location is a real treat. And it would be something that you can look for things like that. But as you said, one of the enhancements that's been made on this trip is to go over there with the express purpose of experiencing Rome, Paris, and London and not feel rushed,
yeah.
and come away feeling that you've made friends, that you've experienced the culture, that you've tasted new foods, that you're in love with what these countries represent.
And
And I
being
think
able
that's what
to,
this,
sorry, and being able to celebrate the temples and how special it is to have our special temples in each of these iconic cities. And I think that that's something that to the culture of the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that we get to celebrate, and really just helps us appreciate the cities and these experiences and make them sacred, and learn about the growth of the church and the saints in these areas. So Reid, I think this really pretty much covers the tours. And if people aren't as excited as I am, I was going to say I need the address to that restaurant you were talking about, and I can share with you some of my favorites. Discovery is one of the joys of travel. So
it is.
I think one of the things that's really great about this tour also, Reid, you had mentioned at the beginning that this is the first week in April, and spring is such a beautiful time to be over there. It is right after the April General Conference, so you can have your time at home packing, getting ready to go on the trip with conference, and then leave on this trip and take advantage of that experience and spring in these iconic cities. So.
Right.
The booking window, I'll jump right into the business and then I'll give you a closing remark. The booking window on this is getting short, however, I will tell you guys that. So if you know this or want to share this with anybody, we really hope that you do. Our tours are always limited to a single coach. We have smaller group tours than a lot of comparison companies. And this is with April being the departure. We do need to have this booked by January. We do have opportunities to book later than that, but we want to make sure that we've got the numbers that we need to guarantee the departure, because of course our tour is based on a group. And so we need a specific number of people to operate the tour as planned at the price plan. So I really hope that you'll ask questions, give us a call, look on the website. We will have that listed so you can get that information here on the YouTube on the closing page. But we just really invite you to come and explore this trip. You can see how much amazing value Reid and his wife are going to bring to this tour. We have a lot of other tours to all throughout the world. I mentioned Reid's doing a fantastic cruise this fall, also to the it's the Fall Foliage Cruise out of Boston to his beloved home area up in Canada with that family connection up there. So you're doing that with Bruce Newbold.
That's correct.
Who is a good friend of yours and ours. And He is a actor and author and presenter. And that's also going to be a super fun experience. So, Reid, is there any last thing you want to tell people about this tour that they should really be considering it?
I just want to again reiterate, come and see.
Come and see.
If
I
you
love
come
it.
on this trip, you will experience the culture. You will not feel rushed. Yeah, you'll come away with memories that how can you put a price on that? But since there is a price on that, the fact that it's not more than previous experiences that we've charged, yet a less rush and more appreciative experience, I think you'll love it.
Instead of being rushed and feel like you need to go back at some other date to see the things that you missed, this one will make sure that you really feel like you have the full experience. Reid, thank you so much for your experience, for your presentation, for putting this wonderful tour together. And I'm just so excited for the people who are going to get to go with you. So thank you for your
Thank you
time.
for having me.
Thank you for everybody who is watching, and we just really hope to hear from you soon. And thank you again. Phone number's 800. I can't believe I just went blank on that. 800, it's 801-483-6363. And the 800 is 809-3310. So thank you again so much. Website is www.mme and then tours, the whole word tours with an s.com. MME is Morris Murdock Escorted, and then the word tours.com. So thank you again very much, and happy and safe travels.
Okay.